This is the Space Coast Progressive Alliance, and our event tonight is called Hate Lives Here. We're examining the issues across our society, many different ways that hate is driving people to do things that are violent, confrontational, disruptive. It's a threat to our government, a threat to our society. It's certainly nothing new. But the one thing that may be new is that we have the ability to openly discuss this in a way that I'm not sure that it's really ever been possible before in our civilization. The opportunity to have a dialogue literally around the world, via these electronic means. After our last speaker, we'll be opening the floor for all of our attendees here on Zoom to ask questions and answers, and we'll be doing that after our next speaker, who's our last speaker this evening. And that is Jeff Schoep. Jeff is the founder of Beyond Barriers, former president of the National Socialist Movement, and he has an amazing story to tell. Jeff, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Phil. First, I want to thank the hosts, Phil, Space Coast Progressive Alliance, Ellen, and your entire team, and all of the speakers that went ahead of me. Unbelievable, incredible, dynamic speakers, and it's a great honor for me to be here tonight. And this is always the most difficult part, is telling my story and telling the background, because you need to, as a person, I'd like to remove myself from that and just talk about fixing things and the problems. But my background is something I'm not proud of. I was a member of the National Socialist Movement for 27 years. 25 of those years, I was the national leader of that organization. For those that are not familiar with the National Socialist Movement, it is basically America's Nazi party. So this is, I understand hate. I understand hate. I understand dehumanization, divisions, all of these things. And I came from a normal middle-class family, a good family. What brought me into this ideology as a young person was I was very much interested in history. My grandfather had fought in World War II on the German side. My great uncles did as well. So that, even though it wasn't something that was in the home, it wasn't something that was encouraged. In fact, it was actively discouraged. That's what opened the door for me to, seek out this movement and get involved in it. And I think what a lot of people don't typically understand about movements like these is that just about anybody can become susceptible to it. A lot of times there's a lot of misunderstandings about these ideologies and the way people get involved in it. And a lot of people will say, well, we don't need to hear about this because our family's not like that. Nobody in our family would get involved in something like that. I'm sure my family thought the same thing. So it is very, a lot of people will get involved in these kind of things and not really coming from a hateful place. And let me explain that when I say that. A lot of times when someone joins these organizations, and hate is definitely a part of it, hate is fostered there, hate is nurtured there, it is a big part of it. But I want to explain the driving factors. When someone gets involved in these things, nobody wakes up one day, or almost nobody wakes up one day and says, you know what? I'm going to go join the Nazis or the Klan or one of these organizations because I'm a bad guy. I want to be a bad guy or a bad lady, or, I want to join this and be something evil and bad. Nobody thinks like that. It's very rare. Now, I did come across those people in my time in the movement. There was a small handful of those people that would come because we would ask them, well, why did you join? Why are you getting involved? And we kind of want to know that. And in a few cases, you'd have people that would say, well, I joined because I hate Black people, or I hate Jewish people, or, things like that. And typically those people would struck me as potentially sociopaths, psychopaths. There was a small percentage of those people, and there is a percentage of those people in these kind of organizations. but that's not the majority. The majority of the people that are getting into this, and bear with me on this, I know it's a tough pill to swallow at times, but the majority of people that are getting involved in these things think that they're doing something noble, think that they're doing something good, think that they're doing something positive. When I joined this movement, I thought, I'm going to save my people, I'm going to save my country, I'm going to do all these wonderful things. Of course, now we know, all of us, everyone here knows, and I know now as well, that's the exact opposite of what these organizations preach. You lose your humanity once you've been indoctrinated, once you get involved in these type of things. You don't see the humanity of the other. You miss that. It's like it's disappeared. You may join an organization like this with this open-minded outlook, where you're thinking, I'm searching something out, I'm going to join something, I'm going to do something good. That's typically why people join. So this, and the reason I'm explaining this, because some people are going to go, I don't want to hear this crap. I don't want to hear people that join this stuff are doing something good, but it's honest. It's the truth. They think they're doing something. And the reason why I'm explaining this and why I'm telling you this is because of, just like we were talking about action items, what we can do as a society, how we can fix things, how we can repair some of this damage done. Why I speak out today is to repair some of that damage done from the past. It's not easy as a man to get out in public and to admit and to say that you were wrong, especially coming out of an organization like that, where everything from their standpoint, from the standpoint of this organization, everything I said was right. You know, I was the national leader for 25 years. It wasn't a democracy, so I was always right. So to leave something like that you had been involved in your whole adult life, and then to get in front of people and admit you were wrong, like not just wrong, but really, really, really wrong. It's not easy to do. Doing something else would be a whole lot easier. But I do this to try to repair some of that damage that was done and to help other people. So a lot of people will ask, what was it that brought you out of that? A lot of people wonder, is it you snap your fingers one day and just go, no, I'm not involved in that anymore? Typically not. Typically there's a series of events. A lot of times it goes with small seeds being planted. For me, those seeds being planted was it was a number of things, but a couple of people that are public figures that I can share with everybody was meeting an individual by the name of Daryl Davis, who is a Black man. He's a famous musician. Actually, he played with Little Richard, Chuck Berry. He lights the piano keys on fire. If you haven't seen him, check him out. He's phenomenal. And he's actually on our team at Beyond Barriers as well. So he's an incredible human being. When I met Daryl Davis, he was filming for his documentary called Accidental Courtesy. So he wanted to meet with different leaders of Klan and Nazi organizations. And I met with Daryl, and he was telling me a story about when he was a young man in the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts. And he says he was the only Black boy that was in that Cub Scout or Boy Scout parade. And grown white adults were pelting him with rocks. Now, the cameras are rolling. I'm thinking I'm doing something for the National Socialist Movement. I'm going to speak. I'm going to say my piece. And I hear that story. And instantly it triggered something. It touched my humanity. And I'm thinking about my own children. And had somebody done that to one of my kids, what would have been my reaction? I won't even say it, what my reaction would have been. But anger. And I'm thinking back, Daryl didn't realize that when that was happening to him, he thought at that age, as a young man, I think he was like 8 years old or somewhere around that age, he said he thought they didn't like the Boy Scouts. And he came home and his parents, the Boy Scout leaders, the Cub Scout leaders didn't, they just got him out of there and protected him, shielded him, but they didn't really go into it. They didn't feel like maybe it wasn't appropriate to explain it to him at that age. His parents had to explain it to him. And he says, no, that doesn't make sense, Mom and Dad. How can they hate me when they don't know me? And that sent him on this mission for the rest of his days and what he does to this day. And as long as the work that we do actually at Beyond Barriers is to try to understand that, because just that simple question that an 8-year-old boy would ask, how can they hate me if they don't know me? It's so simple, but so deep. Like, why would you hate somebody that you don't know? It doesn't make any sense. It's nonsensical. And within 6 months to a year after that, I met another filmmaker. Now, we did a lot of filming for documentaries and different things over the years, so this was nothing new. I met all kinds of people, but I wasn't allowing myself to be able to see, their humanity, because I was involved in this group that you're inside this echo chamber or this bubble. Everybody that you know, you're stuck behind the barriers. This is the concept of the organization that we have now with Beyond Barriers. You've set up these barriers in your mind, but you can't see beyond them. You're trapped behind them. So that's the understanding I want to get across to people, is that the individuals that are in this, that not all hope is lost, that these people still can be reached. Maybe not all of them. We have to be realistic too, but we're bringing people out all of the time. And it's about tapping into that humanity. So when I met Dia Khan, another filmmaker, a Muslim lady, she had come over from England, and it was for the film White Right Meeting the Enemy. In that film, now I had met Daryl and only spent a short amount of time with him, but with Dia, we were filming over the period of weeks. Like, it was a lot of filming because this is a big production, and got to know her really well. And we're sitting in a, there was a lot of things that were said, but one thing that hit me really hard again was tapping into that humanity. She was telling me about how, as a young person, as a child, how her and her brother had to run away somewhere in London and hide from nationalists or skinheads that were after them. And I don't remember exactly the story right now, but I remember hearing about it and watching her and seeing the pain in her face. Literally, I could feel it in the air. Like, if you want to call it a vibe or an energy or whatever, I could feel it. I could see it in her face. And that hit me like getting kicked in the chest by a horse. That got to me. And that was, for me, that was the final seed. I still didn't quit right at that moment, because I'm trying to process this stuff in my head. How do I get out? How do I leave? Do I, I'm going to have to cut ties with everybody that I know, just about every single person I know. I'm going to have to start over. My business was involved in this. This was everything I had done. I had fears that I couldn't move on, or all these things. There's so many different things that go into that. But I knew at that point, this so-called noble mission that I thought I was on for all those years, I saw it now. I saw it. I can't be part of this. This is not something I can't do it. Would it be easier to stay and keep doing it? Sure. But as an idealist, as someone that thought they were doing something good, now that I truly see it, now that I have acknowledged it, I would be a hypocrite to stay longer. So I couldn't stay, and I walked away from that. So when we talk about hate, I want to pose this question, is it hate or is it fear? And this polarization that we're experiencing in the country right now, this division, even we're seeing it on a level now, and not to be alarmist, but we're seeing it on this level now that I don't think we've seen, at least in my lifetime. I've never seen it. And it's not just on racial things now. The Democrats and Republicans, like some of the other, one of the other speakers mentioned this too, even in the political sphere, the Democrats and Republicans won't talk to each other. They're missing this dialogue. And Phil, I think you said it at the beginning about being nonpartisan. One of the speakers had said something about being nonpartisan, and how, maybe it was Anthony, but how important that is too. And that's something we do in our work at Beyond Barriers. But I'm try to be mindful of the time here, but there's so many different things. So other factors for de-radicalization and how we can get people out of this is, and how much time do I have left?
You have 2 minutes, but take a couple extras. We really can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was supposed to be keeping track of it here, and I kind of lost track. But when people are involved in this, I just want the public to understand that it's very much like a cult. And when I was involved, I had heard that term. I'd heard people say it. A lot of the different girls that I was dating from outside of the organization, they would want to come and see what I do and things like that. So I come along. One after another, they kept saying, Jeff, this organization, this stuff you're involved in, it's like a cult. And I'd get angry at the time. I'd say, what is wrong with these girls? Why do they keep saying I'm in a cult? And I would get upset about it. I'd say they didn't know what they were talking about. They were wrong, because I wasn't able to hear them. After leaving and processing these things, oh, it's very much like a cult, because you're conditioned like a cult. Everything, your whole world is in there, even your news and your music and all the things that you take in, your movies, whatever, your books that you read. We talk about confirmation bias, where confirmation bias is a big problem in this sphere, because you believe that set of so-called facts, or what you believe to be your truth, is the truth, and it's not like that. So I want to say, like, engaging people with dialogue is so important. Having empathy for others, understanding, respect, and kindness. These are some of the 5 major things that are so important. And education as well. I think if we can do anything, and this was for the action point, I'm sorry I missed it earlier, for the action point, if we can educate our upcoming generations better than what we've done now, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the educational system, but I'm saying what we can do to get them to understand. Like when I was in school as a child, all right, we had International Day, one day out of the year. You got to sample some food items and learn a little bit about different countries. And it was cool. It was a lot of fun. That's not enough though. That was just one day. We need something where people can understand the different things about different cultures and learn about it. I've got people that we're working with at Beyond Barriers that we're bringing out of these organizations, a guy that's in his 60s that tells me, I don't think I've ever met a Jewish person in my life, Jeff. So we're going to bring him to meet with people in the Jewish community. There's we deal with this all the time. So if we can break down those stereotypes, we can stop people from getting involved in these type of organizations in the future. That's one of the things that we do. And we also try to educate them, the ones that are in there, and bring them back out. Because if we can reintegrate them into society successfully, those are less people that are doing this sort of thing. And just in summary, I want to say, I've been criticized before where they've said, oh, he's just trying to get his old Nazi buddies out of the movement. That's what he's trying to do. And that's not a bad thing. But what I want to say is, saving one person that was involved in a hate group, that's just bonus points. Like if we can get them out, great. But what I'm thinking of, and what really spurred me to do this work that I do now, is some of the mass shootings, the mass violence, the killings that were happening in synagogues, mosques, churches, Walmarts, these kind of places. If one person that is going to walk into a place and start shooting innocent people for no reason other than the color of their skin or their faith or whatever, if we can off-ramp that one person, how many lives can we save? So it's not about saving that one person, it's about saving the innocent. And that's, for me, that's repairing the damage done from the past, from the guilt and the weight that I carry from my past, to fix that, to try to repair that damage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. I'll tell you what, I think, thank you so much indeed. Again, the room would be very much applauding